show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
You're listening to the House of Cards on Facebook, YouTube, and BigPatriotRadio.com. All licenses for music and content have been purchased by and are for the express use of Big Patriot Radio Networks. All information, opinions, and topics are for entertainment purposes and do not expressly represent the opinions of the show's host and or producer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And good evening, everybody. Welcome. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Good evening and glad to have everybody here. This is the Beaufort County's House of Cards. Excuse me. It is August 7th. August 7th already. Let me try to do this with this off. I'm trying something new. August 7th, 2025. I am Mike Covert, your host for tonight's show, and we are coming to you live from the Big Patriots radio studios here in the great state of South Carolina. Want to welcome that. I can see that's not going to work, so we're going to have to go back to this. There we go. Want to welcome everybody that is tuning in regularly on Facebook, on YouTube, and we're also around the world on BigPatriotRadio.com. A lot of folks tuning in on there. The little ticker that we have, the counter for all this stuff is it's steadily going. Glad to have you all with us. Whether this is your first time or you've been here all 3 years, we just overjoyed and happy to have you with us. You can always go to Facebook, if those of you that are on Facebook, and do the stars thing. We're looking to hit the 2,500 mark again tonight. You see that rolling down on the screen underneath of you. And also, if you're on Facebook, go to the page and like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, as you see the little icon down there, be sure to like the show and subscribe to it. It doesn't cost anything. And ring a little bell. That way you'll know when new things happen to pop up. Be sure to share the show. That's another way that the algorithms from YouTube especially get to see that, hey, this has some relevance, and you hear the term of people or shows getting throttled. That's a real thing because of some of the things that may be said or political avenues that are taken or keywords that they don't like. They tend to throttle those down. Imagine that happening here. So anyway, when you share the show, it does give some relevance to what's going on. All right, let's see. We have last week, number one song last week was Whiskey Girl by, rest in peace, Toby Keith. Toby Keith, Whiskey Girl. Bessemer City, North Carolina, I believe that's over near Gastonia, and Somerville were the number one listening cities last week. Bluffton, Beaufort, and Ridgeland, all here in South Carolina. They all rounded out the top 5, and I think that may be the first time that a city right around here in the local area near the studio wasn't number 1 or 2. How about that?
Introducing to you. You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube. It's going down. Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right, we want to, first and foremost, you see up here in the top, see it's over there, the top of the screen, little logo right there. We have a new advertiser. I told you about it. They've been coming on for the last 2 weeks, but it's all signed, sealed, delivered. skipsdefuskytees.us. Go ahead and write that down, skipsdefuskytees.us. Go check these folks out. Have you heard the ads yet? They've been all over BigPatriotRadio.com. There's like 3 or 4 different ads. Matter of fact, let's check one of them out right now from skipsstefuskytees.us. Stefusky Tees is giving you a reason to laugh and a reason to travel. Every shirt you buy is a ticket in a trunk trip giveaway where you could win a luxury stay in New York City, Vegas, or Miami. We're talking penthouse suites, spa days, casino trips, flights for two. And all you had to do was buy a t-shirt. Go to skipsstefuskytees.us and grab yours now. The shirts are funny. The prize is serious. All right. There, I don't know how you heard on your end, but I had a lot of backfeed. That was horrible recording there. I have to fix that. But skipsstefuskytees.us, they have, I wrote them down here. They've got an incredible selection of t-shirts, themes of like Americana. The U.S. military, they have themes like that. They've got Trump 45, 47, GOP themes, some shirts taking a few shots, no pun intended, at Iran. There's shirts with many of the U.S. cabinet, like the popular ones, Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, the B-2 stealth bomber, American patriotism, and just a whole lot more. All kind of themes, all American made right here on Daufusky Island. And get this is the icing. If you were thinking, well, I don't know. And they're affordable, by the way. skipsstefuskytees.us is going to they're pledging to send 80% of their profits from these t-shirts to solid GOP re-election campaigns such as Win Red and the Trump Political Action Committees, and possibly, he's telling me, even down ballot candidates. Check them out today. It's skipsstefuskytees.us. We're going to have their little logo up here, and we will have a bigger one up. Oh, there it is. There you see, skipsstefuskytees.us. Don't forget, skipsstefuskytees.us. Go check them out. So we have a great show, a fantastic show on tap for you tonight. Don't forget, all of you out there in chat, I'm just going to call you, hey, chat, please comment. We really want to hear from you. Let us know what's on your minds. Whether you have a question, you have a comment, what have you. It's no secret, tonight's guest going to be on here in a little while. South Carolina Congressional District 1, the 1st Congressional District, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, candidate for governor of South Carolina, will be on this show live here in just a little while. We want to hear from you. Now, one of our viewers got a hold of me during the week, and Mike, you know who I'm talking to. I misplaced or deleted what you sent me, so I need you to resend that, if you will, and we'll get that played.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
All right, let's scan down through here. We're going to have a story. I think I may have sent it out, or it got sent out in one of our text messages. It was about going to drop a bomb on some things that we found. Further investigation found that now's not the time to release that, but we may just, you have to be sure of what you're doing. So we're going to pause on that one until some other stuff comes back. But prior to Congresswoman Mace coming on, Beaufort City Police and the Beaufort City government are back in the news, oddly enough, facing a growing, one news outlet called it a firestorm, another one called it a hurricane, another one called it a tsunami, a groundswell over its handling of FOIA documents relating to the FOIA documents were sent in having to do with a child, runaway / child abduction. That still is up for argument on a case like that. But this recent revelation that what happened is more about the city of Beaufort releasing the documents. Work with me here. Releasing the documents. FOIA, you send in either a FOIA document or a FOIA website or a letter saying, what you're looking for under FOIA rules through a government or an entity with public dollars. And, the process takes 30 days and so on and so forth. Well, the documents that were FOIA'd, FOIA', if that's such a word, FOIA'd, include, but weren't limited to that child runaway / abduction case, the entire forensic interview related specifically to the investigation of her case. They released paperwork, the FOIA's forensic interview of another minor, not just the child in question, but another minor who had a forensic interview. They released juvenile arrest records from multiple people. They released DSS protected information and other pertinent information, including the possibility of social security numbers, names, addresses, phone numbers for people in and around, and some not even a part of that case. Over 9,000 pages of FOIA documents were sent to, and I believe the father is I believe, I'm not totally sure. But anyway, 9,000 pages were sent to the requester, completely unredacted. It's not uncommon when we get FOIAs back that some things are redacted, things that, someone's home address or someone that had done anything to do with it, and their name doesn't need to be involved. Things that are personal and private that are not part of the question at hand, so to speak. Anyway, there was nothing redacted from what I understand. So 9,000 pages, completely unredacted, given out by the city to, we believe, the young lady's father. Now, this story, as far as I can tell, first came out and was first reported by FitzNews.com. But to be totally honest, this story and subsequent ones about the same thing, which you can tell they're just writing, it's rinse and repeat. They're not doing their own work. It's rinse and repeat, going to multiple outlets. I think this story is poorly written, in my opinion. It goes back and forth about the Emily Hollis case and then the unredacted data. The important part of this story is the unredacted data involving over 100 different people, they say. That's the story to what happened, the from Beaufort City Police and Government. Not the story of the Hollis girl. That is its own story. This one happens to be about the release of information. That and that only is the focus of my telling you this, my report, if you will. Only the data breach, if you will, the data breach. Irregardless of what the information is related to, this type of action by the city of Beaufort should have never ever been released. Period. It should never have been released. This is a major, it's more than an oops. It's a major uh-oh. The city of Beaufort released a statement regarding it. And, quite honestly, the statement said all the right things. Whether the statement was written by the assistant city manager or the city manager, Scott Marshall, or a PIO, I don't know. They said all the right things. I assume that it is meant succinctly and honestly. I don't think that it's just word salad, but I mean, you never know. You never know. They be in the city of Beaufort. They started at according to reports in both the Island Packet and Fitz News and other sources, the city has started a new FOIA system. Ironically, it just got started and this just happened. Amazing how that works. And it's called Next Request. Next Request. Funny, don't you think, how that got through so quickly? So quickly. Love to hear your thoughts and comments on the city of Beaufort and this happening. It's not a secret. A lot of folks have been talking about it. And it seems, let's see here if I can find, let's see here. It seems like, once again, stories with this particular subject in the greater enhancement seem to get twisted and turned, stretched and reshaped. Fitz News quoted the father of the 12-year-old girl as she didn't leave on her own, ... she was taken. Now, see, this is where the story at hand should be about the documents, the over 100 people, 9,000 pages of documents, some releasing information, again, that is or could be damning. People could be doxxed or what have you, whatever those type of criminals, that type of mentality does. This is the information that they would want. Okay. The article, the author of this article, that sentence I just read you, that the father said she didn't leave on her own, she was taken. That has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Beaufort City, the City of Beaufort Police Department and City of Beaufort government has, they had a breach of trust, if you will, in my opinion, with the general public. The story of the young lady, which whichever way it turns, the truth is terrible in its own right. I'm not taking that away, but that's got nothing to do with this. So I'm kind of, shocked, perplexed, just a little, that why Fitz News, that's a respectable outlet. They're not mainstream media. They don't have to answer to anybody. They do a fine job. I think that the Murdaugh case kind of set them on fire, if you will. They ever since that case, I can tell from conversations in the media world, they're getting listened to more and more and more. So, be that as it may. We know that this isn't really the time to go into the case of the daughter. This is more about Beaufort City releasing data and information from FOIA requests. Again, they're telling me over 100 people, their information is out there in some form or fashion. Again, let's keep, for anybody writing a story about this or what have you, keep this story, the breach of trust from the city of Beaufort to the people, keep that and not sideline into the story of the abduction or runaway. Those are two different stories. Anyway, follow us, stay tuned, follow us. We're going to keep you up to date on this. Again, the city of Beaufort, I don't think their apology, if you will, is not going to be enough. I don't know if my data was out there. I don't know. And I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I know some people that have, and we'll see what happens. But this is not a apology type thing. I don't think that they're going to get by with just an apology.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, just checking the the ticker here to make sure that our guest is knows where to come. She's been on here before, so I'm sure that with what's going on out there, she is busier than you can believe. So we're going to go around here again. We'd love to hear from you. I've got a couple in there, and I will get to them here shortly. But I want to also go into. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm going to ask the Congresswoman when she gets on here, because I've been thinking about this for a long time. I would love to hear her thoughts on her colleague, Representative, what is her name? Jasmine Crockett of Texas. You know, recently Texas, the state of Texas, had their Democrat state house members left. The state General Assembly, or whatever they call it down there, wants to do some redistricting, as it is, to their state. Now, I don't know about the districts in Texas. I don't care about the districts in Texas. I don't know if this is a bona fide thing or if this is a gerrymandering thing. I have my opinion, as all that is pretty much gerrymandered anyway. But if you had been paying attention to this, you would have seen Crockett and Representative Al Green, both of Texas, in, I believe it was Illinois, in Illinois, where the Democrat House members took off. They took off, left the state, and of course they had this big press conference, multiple speakers, but it's Jasmine Crockett, or whatever her name is. Unbelievable. It's amazing. I don't know what part of Texas she's from. I know a lot of folks in Texas, a lot of folks. I go there often, 2 times, sometimes 3 times a year. And I don't know anybody there in Texas that has had a kind word. Mike, I didn't get it. If you can send it in this, that'd be great. I've never met anyone that has had a kind word to say about Crockett. Some folks are saying she is the face of the future for the Democrat Party. I say, well, that's awesome, because they're going to go nowhere with that running the show. She is absolutely just abhorrent. So anything about her, if you haven't seen it, Google it. It is it's interesting, it's embarrassing, and otherwise. Anyway, other news that's coming out here recently, as of today, that I found out. The president of Venezuela, last name of Maduro, he has a price tag on his head. That's right, he has a price tag. Apparently, the feds rose the price on Maduro's head to $50 million. All right, $50 million for the head, so to speak, of President Maduro, or Czar Maduro, or King Maduro, or whatever he wants to go by now. These are this is because of extreme drug trafficking. I don't know what the prize was before, but if it's been raised to $50 million and creates a headline, okay, if it creates a headline, it must either be brand new news or it wasn't much. $50 million. Will that make someone in Venezuela or Colombia, Honduras, anywhere, Bolivia, anywhere down there that deals with him, is that enough to make them turn to cash in on the $50 million? I think we're going to find out here rather quickly. Interesting. $50 million. If you knew where Maduro was, would you turn him in? $50 million for the head of Maduro in Venezuela. Here locally in Beaufort County, we talked about, for 2 weeks, we had stories about Sheriff P.J. Tanner who had community meetings surrounding the 287G program. The 287G program, as he was a member of back in, I believe it was 22. No, it was before then. I think it was under Obama, matter of fact. He was a member of it then they got out of it, and it's being reinstituted. The two community meetings, one over north of the Broad and one south of the Broad. The one north of the Broad was very, very, the temperature was high, the air was thick, and it was contentious. It made news all over the state of South Carolina. The one here south of the Broad was, and that was like 2 weeks later, the temperature was much lower. The people were less combative, and the message got out better. Again, the 287G program, some of the folks on the far left have been, saying that is a method to round up illegals. That some folks on the Hispanic community have said, well, they're going after, Latinos. That is, neither one of those is true. Neither one of those is true. The 287G program is nothing more than simply the ability for local sheriff's departments and police agencies to be able to access information and investigative data that they don't have otherwise on illegal immigrants. Now, remember, if you are here illegally, it is a crime. If you come into my house illegally, that is a crime. Okay. If you go into Cuba illegally, that is a crime there. Okay. So these are criminal issues, and there is investigative and background data that is important for the sheriff's department to have. That's all this is. How much is this going to cost? We're going to get new deputies. No, it's not going to add any costs. This is per the sheriff. It takes two deputies that won't do this full time. This will be a part of what they do in the first place. So, no, you don't have to buy new cars, but they're going to anyway, because they have to replenish the workforce. So part of me says, well, there is a cost, albeit quite minor. So if you take, I guess we can do this way. If you take the cost of the police vehicle, the weapons, the uniforms, the insurance, all the parts and pieces, the car, the lights, the stickers, if you put all that together and wrap it in a bow, I don't know if that's $300,000. That's what sticks with me. It's kind of like a $300,000 thing. Maybe a little bit more for all I know. It could be $500,000. I don't think so, but I would say probably $300,000. So if you need to, cut that in half for the 287G program and half for regular duty, okay, I don't have a problem if somebody did that. But it's not a program that is, directly costing the taxpayers, any money. Sheriff Tanner, who, I support this program 100%, has come across and been very clear with what this 287G is all about. So the program has been accepted. He has been accepted. The contracts and all are being done. You're not going to see anything on the street that, is going to cause any alarm. Again, it will be work as usual, other than the sheriff's department, again, through 287G, will be able to have access to data, information, investigative data points that they didn't have before. All right. Well, there you have it. That is my opinion on the 287G.
Locked and loaded. Let's go. Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
Our guest is in the green room, and if you can hear me back there, I don't have a picture. Are you? If just let me know in the chat if you are audio only. Oh, Congresswoman Mace, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you? Hi there, it's Mike. Are you going to be?
Hey, Mike.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good.
You want
I
a
didn't know.
picture?
I didn't know if you were going to be video and audio or just audio.
I am just audio right now.
Okay. Well, then let me do this the proper way. You deserve this. Folks, we had some big news around the Low Country, and quite frankly, it ended up going all across the nation. Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina Congressional District 1 along the Low Country and South Coast officially entered the race for the next South Carolina governor. And giving her due, she joins us now. Welcome, Congresswoman Mace.
Thank you, Mike. It's so good to see you again. Appreciate being here tonight. We had a great week, wall-to-wall coverage on Monday. I couldn't believe how enthusiastic folks have been in the first couple of days of this race. Very exciting and deeply, deeply humbling.
Absolutely. Well, we covered it here. We watched you, and I mean, it's good to see you doing that. And it's always good to talk to you, my friend. I know you've been busy. I heard you had a big, your biggest town hall so far up in Horry County.
Yep.
How have you been? Is it, are you prepared? You ate your Wheaties?
Oh, it's fantastic. It was standing room only last night in the Grand Strand area last night. Hundreds of people turned out. It was fantastic. And, one of the things that I did when I announced, Mike, that no one other candidate in the race for governor has done so far, but I unveiled policies to make South Carolina bigger, better, greater, stronger, more prosperous than ever before. We have a huge opportunity in the midterms next year in 2026 to install governors across the country who are America first, who are MAGA, who are going to take Donald Trump's policies and implement them at the state level on down. And you know this, you were just talking about 287G, but we've had sanctuary sheriffs go rogue in South Carolina. We're a red state. We're a conservative state. And we saw our statewide leaders of the last 4 years, at least maybe more, turn a blind eye to the sanctuary policies of people like former Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano in Charleston County, who was letting out illegals who are rapists, who are murderers, who are pedophiles. And do you know who fired her from her job? It was the voters in South Carolina. And the reason they did that is because I informed them of what she was doing, letting illegals out into the state of South Carolina. Nobody spoke up, Mike, except for a handful of elected leaders who I thank every day, but not a single person statewide said a damn thing. And they allowed this to happen. And so on day one as governor, not on my watch, because if there's any sheriff out there, and I hope they are all listening, if you help illegals and you help criminals, you're going to get defunded. You will not get a dime from taxpayers in South Carolina, not at the state level. I will veto any funding that you get. And the same thing goes for education.
Right.
Mike, as you know, we've got this gender bender ideology. It's pervasive. It's everywhere in South Carolina. How do we as a red state have 15 genders on a form on an application to Clemson University, and male and female are not two of the 15 options? How the heck did we get here? And we're still, I remember I was in the state legislature 7 years ago, we were still, battling education. We were last in the country. We're behind Mississippi now.
Yeah.
We have the highest state income tax in the Southeast. We're not competing with Florida. We're not competing with North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. I unveiled a 5-year plan to get us down to zero state income tax. Very simple. You freeze the general fund at $11.6 billion. You freeze some of the earmarks, et cetera. We can do it in 5 years or less. But a lot of common sense, a little bit of common sense would go a long way in the governor's seat. And I intend to bring it when the voters of South Carolina elect us to governor.
Absolutely. And I'm going to talk about all 5 of those points. I find that very important. I wanted real quick. I was talking to a friend of mine about you coming on, and he said to ask you, who was your favorite seatmate in the House?
Oh, well, in the State House, gosh, I had a great time when I sat with the Beaufort delegation.
Yes.
I
Bill
had a
said to tell
yeah,
you
no,
hi.
yeah, the Beaufort County delegation, the state house members, are so good for Beaufort County and for the Low Country. They've got great leadership roles in the state legislature. They're very effective. They work so hard for 10 grand a year.
Yeah, no,
And what people
imagine
don't
that.
realize, they only make 10 grand a year, but it's a full-time job and they don't have staff. Like they do everything themselves. And the Beaufort delegation, they're very tight, they're close. They communicated, they worked together
Mhm.
extremely well, and they were like a family. And I found that very impressive.
Yeah, but he wanted me to tell you hi, and he
So,
may be listening. He's a regular listener. Back
uh,
to you. Back to you. The important part here. So we believe here at Big Patriot Radio that whoever wins the GOP nomination for governor is going to be the become the governor. We don't
yes,
believe
yeah,
that Jermaine Johnson or anybody else has a
no,
snowball chance in hell. But as we
right.
said earlier, you've got a 5-point plan. You put it all out there. And I've got to tell you, all the points, I mean, I support those. Slash the state
Mhm.
income tax to zero. Tell us, how are you going to do that?
Well, so the state budget is about $41 billion a year. There are three different general buckets for the state budget. One of them is called the general fund. The general fund last year was about $13.2 billion. So my plan would be to freeze the general fund at the 2022 to 2023 fiscal year level, which is $11.6 billion. So today, in today's dollars, we're about $2 billion more in the general fund than we were 2 years ago. And all we have to do to get our state income tax down to zero over the next 5 years is to ensure we're cutting about $1.1 billion out of the general fund. So we can do that by freezing the general fund at $11.6 billion. Now, to speed that up, if revenues don't continue increasing like they are right now, you can cut earmarks, right? So in 2019, pre COVID, earmarks were about $30 million. Last year, they were $700 million. How do you go in 5 years from 30 to $700 million? So let's just freeze earmarks or cut them in half, whatever the number is. That can speed up getting us down to zero. The other thing that we can do, we can freeze hiring of state employees, government employees. We can offer early retirement packages just like Trump did. We can also require and mandate all agencies find 2 to 4% every fiscal year to cut, because we know there is waste, we know there is fraud, we know there is abuse, and we need to go find it and cut it, and all that. If you just take those few things, 3 or 4 things, you do that in 5 years. You might even be able to do it in less than 5 years if you
Mhm.
just take a little fiscal responsibility, some common sense. You can get it done. But we need a governor who's going to be bold, who's going to be strong, and have the backbone to use the bully pulpit of the governor's seat, because it's a weak governor where there's not a lot of power there, that
Mhm.
will ensure that the legislature does what it needs to do as quickly as it can, and bring everybody together and use a little elbow grease, because I think that's what it's going to take. I haven't been in the state legislature in 5 years, and I'm like, what have we been doing? Where's the money going? And
Yeah,
why haven't we decreased taxes more than we have? A tenth of a point here, 2/10 of a point. It's measly. It's embarrassing because
it
other
is.
states are moving much faster than we are.
It is. All right. Next up, you want to energize South Carolina with dependable, secure power. Explain that.
Absolutely. Well, a couple of weeks ago, for example, the state had to shut down about 5 facilities to ensure that we didn't have rolling blackouts during a very hot week in South Carolina. We need an all of the above energy approach, not one where we waste $9 billion on a massive nuclear facility that never gets built and the taxpayers still pay for it. That's called VC Summer. It was about a decade ago. Our state wasted $9 billion on a nuclear power plant that was never built. That can never happen again. I've been working with the EPA to find out alternate energy sources in the meantime. I want liquid natural gas, LNG. It's going to cost more. We need more pipeline. There are plans in place with some of our energy folks in South Carolina to do that. There's a pipeline coming up actually through Jasper County,
That's right.
about 70 miles up from Kinder Morgan is doing that
Mhm.
pipeline. I also want to bring Marcellus Shale from West Virginia down to Greenville and get LNG down to the coast. I also want to be an exporter of LNG with that pipeline, but that's going to take a couple of years. In the meantime, I'm working with the EPA to utilize backup generators to put energy back onto the grid. Currently, businesses and facilities that have backup generator energy can do about 50 hours a month at maximum capacity, whatever their maximum capacity is. They can sell that energy back onto the grid, make money, and provide energy so we don't have blackouts. But in South Carolina, because of the regulations, we're not able to do it here. So I want to open up South Carolina to be able to, for data centers, for example, or the airports or whomever have these backup generators, it's called Rice NESHAP, be able to sell it back to the grid in South Carolina so we don't ever run out of energy in the meantime until we get small nuclear reactors, until we get LNG, all of the above.
Common sense stuff there, Nancy.
Yeah.
Next up, protect women and children, which, by the way, you have, in my opinion, you've been the leader above all 435 of you all in Congress.
100%.
But explain protect women and children.
Well, it's a huge problem, as you know, both at the federal and even the state level. I've been fighting for women and kids for a long time. I'm a victim of a very corrupt system in South Carolina, having gone through it and telling my story in February, having gone through it. If this is what happened to me as a member of Congress, imagine what's happening to everybody else out there who doesn't have a seat in Congress. And we've got a system where prosecutions never happen anymore, whether it's sex trafficking, human trafficking, all those things are up by over 400% in the state of South Carolina, particularly along the coast. It's a massive problem. But we've got prosecutors that won't prosecute cases. We've got pedophiles that are being let out for one day in jail. You know, we've got an attorney general, a rogue attorney general. His name is Alan Wilson, by the way. You should look him up. Look at the cases he's prosecuted. More importantly, look at the cases he has never prosecuted. I mean, we've got pedophiles in the state of South Carolina. One in particular, his name is Donald Gresh, convicted pedophile. He was found with 1,900 images of kids as young as 3 being raped by animals. He was facing 60 years in jail. And Alan Wilson negotiated his plea deal in 15 minutes. He served 1 day in jail. And there are many cases like Donald Gresh, not just in Charleston County, but all across the state where we're not prosecuting. There's the judicial circuit up in Sumter County. The solicitor up there had prosecuted 1 case the other week. 1 case. It was a DUI case. There are over 60 cases of murder in Sumter County that aren't being prosecuted. And then here in the Low Country in Charleston County alone, not even looking at Beaufort and Berkeley and Dorchester and all the others, our solicitor, Scarlett Wilson, has over 353 murder cases and cases of attempted murder on the docket for the last 7 years, not being prosecuted. We have murderers walking amongst us. We have rapists walking amongst us. We have child molesters walking amongst us. Beaufort County knows this well, but we have illegals who are here, who rape our women, who molest kids. We have a massive problem with Tren de Agua, the Sinaloa cartel, MS-13. They're in Beaufort County. They're all across the state. And it's like, I'm going to do whatever I can to protect your daughter because I care. And my policies reflect that, my energy, my fight. I want law and order. I want it for our daughters and everybody.
Yeah, can't ask for more than that. Next up, school choice advancement.
Obviously, school choice. We need universal school choice in South Carolina. That's going to be a fight in the court system because of the laws in our Constitution and making sure we can do that constitutionally in the state of South Carolina. But in the meantime, I've always supported school choice. But there are 2 things we need to do also in addition to that are going to be much faster and better for our kids right now that we can do tomorrow. Number 1, any kid that can't read or write, I want it automatically mandated that they do not move up to 4th grade. So in Florida, under Governor DeSantis, for example, kids that can't read or write by 3rd grade, they're automatically held back. They get a reading mentor, and they're required to read 90 minutes a day. And that has been a tremendous success in Florida. So why reinvent the wheel? Let's do that in South Carolina. The second thing I want to do is we have a lot of kids that aren't going to go to college. They're not going to go get a 2 or 4 year degree. But if a kid is qualified in plumbing, electrical, welding, cosmetology, you name it, I want them to be able to get the equivalent, the same exact, just as good high school diploma, because I want our students ready on day 1 when they graduate high school. I want them ready for the highest skilled best paying jobs in South Carolina that you can get without a college degree. If you are a welder at the age of 18, your starting salary is $80,000 a year.
Yeah.
If you get a nuclear welding certificate, your salary is $110,000 a year. If
Yep.
you are licensed to drive commercial vehicles, your starting salary is $80,000 a year also. And then if you have plumbing or electrical, they're making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
And I want our kids to be just as prosperous as we are.
When I had the company, my service technicians, if they didn't make $100,000, they were
Yeah.
much goofing off.
Yeah.
One of the
100%.
things, one of the things with that is, the trades have to be made sexy again. A lot of them have lost their appeal. So we need to in some avenue make them sexy again. Your fifth part of your plan: fortify our borders and uphold our laws. As you said at the beginning, you were instrumental, and I agree with you 100%. I watched that very closely on voters removing Sanctuary Sheriff Graziano up in Charleston County. Explain what more would happen with Nancy Mace as governor.
Well, I can tell you right now, if you're harboring illegal aliens or helping them in any way, you're not working with ICE, you will not get any money from the state. I will veto every single dime that any sanctuary sheriff is asking for from the state. And that goes for counties, towns, municipalities, cities. I don't care. We are not going to allow the history of crime that we have today in South Carolina. I am not going to allow it on my watch. I have 3 words: law and order. That's it. At the end of the day, we're going to do that. And we have so many great men and women in uniform who do all these investigations that arrest these people who are illegal, and then they get let free by rogue sheriffs. No, that's not happening.
Yeah. Nancy, the polls, you and I have talked over the years. The polls are the polls. And I looked at the polls right before the announcement that you came out with the other morning. Showed you with a 2-point lead, at least the one that I happened to look at, over already announced Alan Wilson. While I would imagine you agree, while polls aren't the end all be all, they do provide good data points and analytics. So let's talk about just a few things here. You and Alan Wilson have had some disagreements, very well publicized. But the other day, Wilson's father, Representative Joe Wilson, came out with what I called a hit piece on you. And quite frankly, I found that, I've done hit pieces, so I get it. I know the game. But I found that to be, quite frankly, extremely poor taste and beneath.
He had to call his daddy. He had to call his daddy to get him to rescue him on day 2 of my campaign. Literally, the man called his dad to get him to put out a hit on me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I have a message for Joe Wilson. Joe Wilson has endorsed every single one of my opponents when I've run for Congress. And I have beaten every single person that Joe Wilson has endorsed. So I beg Joe Wilson to endorse his son, Alan Wilson, for governor, because that means that historically, looking at my precedent, that means we will win. So I pray that he gets involved. And quite frankly, Alan Wilson stepped in it on Monday with the nasty negative attacks, calling me a liar. And he is tainting a jury pool by trying to falsely discredit a witness for a young woman in a sexual assault case that's currently being investigated. If your chief law enforcement officer is actively working against victims in our state, there is no way in hell that he is ever going to stand up for you and me or anybody else in this state, politicizing these things. And so for me, it's motivating. I welcome the fight. I welcome the attack because I know that I'm right. And if I weren't right, he wouldn't be lying about my record and he wouldn't be lying about my policies and everything else that he's doing right now. And so I welcome the fight. It's a 2-man race. Everybody else, they're very nice people. They've got some good ideas. They're all following us and copying our ideas, which I think is great for South Carolina. But make no mistake, this is a 2-man race between me and the Attorney General. I am beating him in every single legitimate third-party poll by between 1 and 10 points. So that's why you're seeing him flail and panically call his father,
Right.
begging for his assistance because he can't do it on his own because he's not a real man. If real men protect women, Mike, you're a
That's
real
right.
man. You've been out there in the fight for women and kids. Real
Yep.
men protect women. He is not one of them.
Let me ask you about this. Congressman Ralph Norman entered the race last week, and he came out with an interesting look at redistricting here in South Carolina. And this is quite apropos for where you are now and where you aspire to be. Not sure if what's happening in Texas spurred this on, but I would have to imagine that it would. Norman said South Carolina should absolutely go through redistricting and is quoted with this, quote, "We have Republican supermajorities in South Carolina. Let's use them to create more competition in our congressional seats. I have no doubt Republicans can be successful in every part of the state, pushing out," as he quoted, "Kingmaker Representative Clyburn." That sounds like a good plan in my book. How are you?
Constitutionally, it'll never happen. It won't be allowed to happen constitutionally. And that's the problem with that sort of thing, is that Clyburn's seat will be that way forever. There's no way out of it. And I don't want to give people false hope. But the one thing I want to tell people here in South Carolina, particularly in the Low Country, you all helped us flip this seat from Democrat to Republican in 2020. We won by 1.5 points, or 5,000 votes.
Mhm.
Last year, when I won my reelection, I won by 18 points, because not because of redistricting. When they redrew our lines for SC1 2 years ago, our
Yep.
district only got 1 point better politically. I got the short straw when the legislature redrew the lines. Charleston
Mhm.
County is very, very blue. I mean, Kamala Harris won Charleston County by 11 points. I won
Mhm.
my portion of Charleston County, and I got a Democrat sheriff unelected in November, and we got a sheriff in Charleston County that worked with ICE on day one. But I would tell you that because of, I understand the issues of the Low Country, we're conservative, yet we're independent minded in thinking. I was able to get this seat more conservative, more Republican, and now it's a safe seat. So I feel very confident in the election next year that we'll get a rock solid Republican into SC1.
Awesome. Awesome. We have one of our listeners, viewers, wants to ask you a question, and I can't put it up on the screen. It's so long. But in a nutshell, he's saying, "I'm a local small business owner here in the Carolinas, and like many others, I took out an SBA EIDL loan during COVID-19 to survive. This wasn't a luxury. It was a lifeline that kept employees paid and operations running during forced closures." Gotcha. "Unfortunately, the path to repayment has become increasingly unrealistic." He said he wanted to highlight critical facts affecting thousands of people like him, but it got cut off. The SBA has no authority beyond offering a 6-month, I believe that's a repayment. What is your, in the bigger picture, what is your feelings towards that?
Well, number one, if he is a constituent in South Carolina's 1st Congressional District, I need him to reach out to our caseworkers at mace.house.gov to see if there's any way that we can assist in alleviating any of that financial pain or financial burden. Also, some of the rules have changed with respect to EIDL or PPP. And so I would want to know his case better to figure out how we might be able to assist him in that repayment processing part of it. So it's changed, but if he calls our office, we'll be able to assist and see if there's anything we can do for his particular case. Sometimes we can chime in with a federal agency and say, "Hey, this is a unique case. This is why." Show them some financials and get assistance that way, or a longer payment plan. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the program. So I'd have to know a little bit more about his case before I could really weigh in. But we can assist. So I would like him to reach out to mace.house.gov. So we can get him. Yeah, to the official office so that we can assist him with this.
Congresswoman, real fast, the General Assembly, I may have said this earlier, as you know, has a Republican supermajority here in South Carolina. However, especially in the Senate, and this is more, I guess, my opinion, but there seems to be a lot of Republicans who are, in my terminology, closet Democrats, maybe changing parties to get elected. Go figure. What does a Mace administration and the governor's mansion look like to corral the Senate and the House, for that matter, for that to matter in more of a conservative powerhouse, so to speak?
Well, because the governor's perch is not as powerful as other states, governor's positions, using the bully pulpit, unlike any other governor has before, is going to be really key in bringing people together to do what's right for South Carolina. If that means getting everybody in a room and hashing it out, that's what we do. If that means exposing some of the corruption that we've seen, as I always do, I'm going to come to the table with conservative ideas, policies, and common sense. Like, it's not hard. It's actually pretty easy when you just sit in a room and say, this is the simplest answer to a very complicated problem and gives us the quickest outcome. And that's what I bring to the table. And I hope that people have seen that in my launch with the policies that we're presenting out there. My opponents, especially Alan Wilson, he copied my education plan almost verbatim the other day. But that's what I bring to the table. And I'm leading by example. If my opponents want to copy my plans, great. That is great for South Carolina. But I will bring the cleanest, most simple, the easiest answers to the most complicated problems. I will have those for you. And I will use every muscle that I have, as I always have done, to make sure that this happens. Because no one believes in South Carolina more than I do.
Real fast, I want to let you go. I want to be cognizant of your time. The Lieutenant Governor, Pam Yvette, in this race, and State Senator Josh Kimbrell, both super nice people.
Very nice people.
Yeah, I know Pam, met her multiple times, but I think it was you who said, and I'm going to paraphrase, and this is kind of dovetailing where you just were, we need a governor who has the will and the gumption to stand up, stand tall, speak up, and speak out. Tell us, you've already gone that way, but put an exclamation point on there.
Well, I think it's really important that we have bold leadership and people that aren't afraid to do the right thing. And doing the right thing is usually means you're doing the hard thing. And most people don't want to do the hard thing. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be attacked. They don't want to be assaulted for it. Well, I've been through all of that. I have walked on coals, walked through fires because of something I believed in. I believe in the people of South Carolina. And I'm willing to lay my career, put it all out there, risk my career to do the right thing for our people here. I'm from here. I was raised here. I'm raising my family here. I work here. And I believe in our state. I believe in her people. And I believe we can do so much better with the right leader, the right governor in place.
Are you ready to stand behind someone to run for your seat?
Not yet. Well, let's see who jumps in for that race. But I appreciate you, Mike. I have to run, but I appreciate the conversation as always. You're great, a great patriot.
House.mace.gov. Once again, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Nancy. We want to have you on here again.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Introducing to you. You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube. It's going down. Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right, a couple of things. I've got like 6 messages that I was not able to get put on. However, all of them are about specific items. Amy, Scott, a different Amy, Elizabeth, Tim, I think that's Jorge. Anyway, all of your concerns are important. I'm going to recommend you go to house.mace.gov. That's house.mace.gov, and share what you have sent to me. Share that with them, and hopefully the Congresswoman and her staff can get something working to help all of you in your particular battles.
Let's go!
The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, don't forget, house.mace.gov, and we want to have all of the other candidates, Alan Wilson and Ralph Norman and Josh Kimbrell, Pam Yvette, and anybody else who decides to get in. We want to have them on here. Hey, Jermaine Johnson of the Democrat Party, who is a hell of a nice guy. I'd love to have him on here. I'd like to hear what he has to say. Why not? And he's a big boy. I'm sure he could take a beating with some Republican comebacks. But it would be in good banter. Don't take it the wrong way. Don't forget our. You see it up here in the corner. The other corner. Skipsdefuskytees.us. Go visit them. buy a t-shirt. I think they're $20, $25, something like that. I mean, anymore, that's cheap for a t-shirt. And this is made in America, made right here in Daufuskie Island. Tell them that you saw them on Big Patriot Radio in Beaufort County's House of Cards. Tune in next week right here on bigpatriotradio.com, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to tell your friends and neighbors. 7 o'clock every Thursday, simulcasting on bigpatriotradio.com. You're going to want to be here for that. We have the Beaufort County Economic Development issue. We have the final show ready, but it's going to take a little while to put that out there. So that's going to happen hopefully next week. We also want to have Skip Daufuskie Tees on, and we're going to have Eric Greenway, the former Beaufort County administrator. There's been developments, and we're going to have him on here live on Beaufort County's House of Cards. Thank you again to Nancy Mace, Congresswoman and gubernatorial candidate from right here in South Carolina. So, until then, until next week, good night, and watch your six.